I just want to explain the difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. Just want to explain a little bit about it. And if you don't know about it, take some notes. I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, but I want to kind of explain the difference for what I know, what that's between a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13. And I just want to talk about the parameters as I know as a salesperson, not as an attorney, because I'm not an attorney. A Chapter 7 is when you find you're a bankruptcy attorney, right? Whether you file Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, and you want to make sure you get a trusted bankruptcy attorney. And a good way to find a bankruptcy attorney is to ask for a referral. Ask somebody in your network, or even do a post on Facebook and ask someone, do they know anyone that filed bankruptcy, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13? And then you actually have a conversation with them. And then you want to make sure that's a trusted individual, because too many times I see people that file Chapter 13, they automatically go to a 7. And the Chapter 13 is dismissed, then they go to the 7. Then they think they're all good. Well, they're not, because you just missed the bankruptcy and then you went to another one, then you discharge it. But listen, the difference between a Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 is this. Chapter 7 is when you pay none of your debtors back. Anybody that you owe, that you took down in your bankruptcy, you pay nobody back. You pay nobody back when it comes to Chapter 7. Everybody that you put into Chapter 7, you pay nobody back. Anybody that you included in there, you pay nobody back. Now, there's steps that you go through when you file Chapter 7, right? But I don't have time to explain all those to you because I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. But anyway, bankruptcy, Chapter 7, usually discharge within, let's just say 120 days. 120 days is 4 months. They say 90 days, but 120 days, because you got to file your paperwork, your debtors, your people that you owe, they got to either protest or agree or not, whatever. And it takes about 90 to 120 days, 3 months to 4 months to be finally discharged, for you to get your papers and your credit report be updated that it's discharged. You get your papers. And after Chapter 7, people think that they can just go buy anything they want. When I first got in the car business, when I started Urban Pontiac back in the day, selling Pontiacs, people came in after they filed Chapter 7. They were getting brand new cars. They filed Chapter 7, they were getting brand new cars, and they were excited. But in today's time, you don't just go in and get a brand new car. The lenders, the finance companies are looking at what you did before the bankruptcy, how you paid, not necessarily why you filed bankruptcy, because they don't know, but they're looking at what you did before the bankruptcy. You know, what did you have? Was your credit just bad all over the years before the bankruptcy, or you just ran into a situation? Some things happened, you had to make the decision to file. So they're looking at things like that. Look what you did before the bankruptcy. But I really want to talk about Chapter 13 today. It's the reason I want to talk about Chapter 13, because I got a little irritated from a text I got from a customer, conversation I had in a text, because people don't understand when they file Chapter 13 what the parameters are and what they do. You don't. They're not understanding. And you're paying a bankruptcy attorney, and you need to ask questions. Ask questions. That's what you're paying them for. And if they don't have time to ask you a question, you need to find somebody else. So Chapter 13 is when you agree to pay all your debtors back. They have a plan, a repayment plan for you to pay your debtors back. Whether it's 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, they have a plan so that you can pay the people you owe back. You have to follow that plan. The courts are making those payments for you guys. You don't make those payments. The courts are making those payments for you. That you giving them the money and they're making the payments for you. That's why your credit goes from 400 to 600 or 650. It's because they're paying the bills for you. You're putting the money there and they're paying the bills for you. From what I understand, right? Maybe some things have changed because I'm not an attorney. I'm just speaking on 26 years of experience. And I'm telling you, experience is the best thing that I have right now being in this business. Experience, right? So you're making your payments on time because the courts are paying the payments for you according to the plan. So your score is going from 450 to 500 all the way up to 600, maybe to 650, right? And you got your belt tightened because you cocky because, oh, my credit's good because I'm paying my bills on time. Well, look, you're not paying your bills on time. The courts are paying your bills because you're part of a repayment plan to pay your debtors back, okay? So which means that anytime you do anything when it comes to going to buy a vehicle, you have to have permission from the court. Your bankruptcy attorney has to get with the trustee, and they have to give you permission to buy a car. You cannot just go out and get anything you want to get when you file bankruptcy. And don't get cocky because you're in a Chapter 13 and you think you can go get anything you want and pick out anything you want. Well, you can't. Am I upset now? A little bit. Yeah, I am. It's because I know my job. I know what I do. I love helping people. I love helping people. This is what I do. I help people. I get people to get mad at me because I tell them what's true, but I'm a very honest person. I play no games. You want to know my sign, my zodiac sign? It's Leo, right? I'm a lion. But you know what? I take care of my people. And I'm not just saying because of race, because I'm an Afro-American. I'm just saying I take care of my people. I take care of my customers. I fight for you. If you file Chapter 13, you got to have permission from the court to buy a vehicle, which means that your attorney has to have a conversation with the trustee and get permission for you to buy a car. There's parameters. It may be where that particular vehicle has to be 2018 or newer, or 2019 or newer, with so many miles. The bankruptcy court is not going to let you buy a 2012 or 2013 because is that car going to last? No. They're going to give parameters. They may say, okay, it needs to be a 2018 or newer, maybe with interest rate 18% or 19%. They're going to tell you what parameters are. Most of the time, your bankruptcy attorney is going to tell you, get me a letter. What does give me a letter mean? What does give me a letter mean, Queen? Give me a letter means that give me a letter stating what year how much car I can qualify for, what year, what's the term, and what's the interest rate. And so in order to do that, guess what? You have to put a credit application in. You got to get it pre-approved. Dealership just can't give you a letter to give to your bankruptcy attorney to give to the trustee to give you permission to buy a car. So it's like working hand in hand, you know? Working hand in hand. When your attorney tells you to get a letter, a purchase agreement, you got to get pre-approved. You got to do a credit application. You got to do a credit application. You got to get it pre-approved. And you can't always go in and say, oh, I want this car, I want that car because I like it. I like that car, and I'm not going to take anything I want. You know, I don't have a first option, a second option, or a third option. I want this kind of car because I know I can afford it. Well, listen, if you could afford to pay that car that you want, you would not be in the bankruptcy right now. You know, we all things happen where income change, things change, but you got to learn to do what? You got to learn how to pivot. How do you pivot? When things happen in your life, you got to learn how to pivot. You in the bankruptcy, right? You in the bankruptcy for a reason. Income change, things change. I get it, right? But don't come in cocky saying, you know, I can't, you know, I'm not going to drive something I don't want. Well, listen, you're in the bankruptcy and you don't want to be in the bankruptcy, right? So sometimes we got to drive or do some things that we don't want to do. Yes, we do. We got to do some things we don't want to do. So again, I'm on here because I'm pissed right now. I'm a little pissed because of what a customer said to me. You know, I'm pissed because they don't understand the parameters. After I get done with this podcast this morning, I'm going to give her a call. It probably ain't going to do no good, but I'm going to give her a call because to me, I'm the expert. When you do anything, like I got Al Peters on here. I don't know if he's still on here. Maybe he clicked off. You know, he's known for putting radios in your cars and, you know, speakers and, you know, he's known for that. He's an expert at what he does. He could do his job maybe in 20 minutes and might take another person an hour. You know what I mean? So whatever you do, be good at what you do. Be good at what you do. Be the expert. I know I'm the expert at what I do selling cars. I don't just sell cars. I'm not just a salesperson. I am a content creator. I'm a teacher. I'm a speaker. I'm all that. I'm an author. I'm all that in a bag of chips. But I'm good at what I do. So when you get advice from someone, take the advice. Don't take it with a grain of salt. So anyway, what I'm saying is, let me get back to the hand-in-hand because I'm all over the place. After you get the pre-approval letter or the purchase order from your salesperson, they're going to give you the parameters of what you can get into. Whether they'll give you a certain car, and maybe that might not be that, it won't be that car by the time you get your approval from the court. It may be a similar car to it, but it has to be similar in year, has to be similar in payment, and it has to be similar in interest rate. But the bank and the courts gotta work together. Because everything is over, guess what? You're not making the payment to us, the dealership. You're making the payment to the finance company. So I guess what I'm saying to you is that you can't always get everything you want. And then you pay fees. No matter what you do, you pay fees. Just like when you go to Secretary of State, right? Everybody got, or DMV. You got to pay money to get your tags. You can't tell them what the fees are, right? They tell you. You go do it, they tell you what the fees are. When we go with our finance company to get you approved, whether you have good credit, bad credit, you know, whether you were filed Chapter 7, Chapter 13, they have fees. They're not doing this for free for you or us or nobody else. This is a business. This customer complained because she said, the fees. What? I'm going to call her after I leave this podcast. What? The fees. When you buy a car, you got sales tax, which everybody has to pay. Sales tax, which everybody have to pay. Only person not paying sales tax is God, but God ain't here. So, right? He ain't on earth. He ain't with us. He's not not with us, walking with us every day. Well, yes, he is, but God ain't paying sales tax. So everybody in this world is going to buy a car is going to pay sales tax. And then if you do a loan, you get a loan, or even lease a car, you're going to pay to do that. It's fees. You can't get around that. And then most dealerships, 95%, 98% charge doc fees. You're not going to get around that. That's the price of doing business. And you're going to pay your title. You're going to pay your plate. You're going to pay all that. So these are fees that nobody can get around. The purpose of this rant right now, why I'm having, or this Papa with the Queen that I just popped up and did, is that when it comes to bankruptcy, you have to have bankruptcy. When you file bankruptcy, whether you're in bankruptcy or not, you pay fees. You know, and know that if your credit's in the toilet, I'm not saying bruised credit, right? I'm not saying bad. I'm saying if your credit's in the toilet, because we all been through this, then we have to crawl before we run down the street. We gotta crawl before we run down the street. We really do. So the purpose of this video is know what? When you file Chapter 7, Chapter 13, get with someone you trust that's going to be your bankruptcy attorney. Get with someone you trust, right? And then know that you're reestablishing after your bankruptcy, after your Chapter 7, or if you get a car doing your Chapter 13. But my advice is this: if you don't have to file either one, you can do credit repair, then I would do that. I do that too. If you don't have to file Chapter 7, Chapter 13, and you can go through credit repair, I would do that before I do either one of them. Right? But let me just say this. Get with somebody you trust. No matter what you do, always get with somebody that you can trust. Ask a friend. I tell people when they buy cars, take a friend. Ask a friend. Bring a friend. But anyway, this was Papa with the Queen, where I go live maybe 7 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 3 days a week. Who knows, right? Papa with the Queen. All right, guys. Make it a great day.